Lovely. So welcome to our session of road mapping your dreams for 2025. This is our second session of the year. So we did one on New Year's Eve, which was really exciting. And now we're doing one. I thought I'd give people a couple of weeks to get their head around the new year before doing it again. So today we are going to go through what road mapping is and how to do it. And then there'll be a couple of exercises where you can start setting your roadmap, start creating it, and a couple of visualizations as well. One to help you get in touch with what you might want, and another one to actually embed those outcomes and your roadmap into your subconscious mind. So along the way, if there's any questions on anything, please just ask. I am kind of assuming that you already have some idea about the manifesting process. I will kind of highlight that a little bit as we go through, but I'm assuming that you're aware roughly about how I operate in terms of the manifesting process with the NLP process as well. Please ask if you're not sure, because I'm sure there'll be people watching the recording that won't know. But I will signpost how to find out more about that if you're not up to speed. So we have videos, we have free resources where you can access that. All right. So first question, what is road mapping? So last time we had people that had just been sort of yanked by the earlobe onto a course, and they were like, what is this? what is this and who are you? So what is road mapping and who am I? So road mapping is a technique for programming multiple outcomes into our subconscious mind over a period of time. Now that period of time could be 12 months, it could be 5 years, 10 years, your whole life if you want. It's really a good technique for being able to take very sort of dispassionate outcomes that you've listed down and how to bring them to life so that your subconscious mind actually understands what you're talking about, and a way for you to be able to check how that's actually going to feel. Like, is that too much? Is that too little? Is that right for me? Does it actually work the way I think it's going to work? And also by sort of almost planning it out, you get to kind of bolster your belief that it could happen because you've essentially seen it and felt it, and it seems sort of logical. So it's just a really brilliant all-round technique rather than just, I'm going to set this outcome, visualize it, and from the NLP perspective, program it into my subconscious mind. How are we going to do that with the whole year? To just stack the deck in your favor so that you're not having to constantly think about different outcomes. You do it all in one go, and then you can just sit back and let it happen over the course of the year. And your only job then is removing limiting beliefs, which I say like that's an easy thing, but it's certainly a straightforward thing. All right. Just quickly, who am I for those people that don't know? I am Jessica Reed-Robbins. I am a relationship breakthrough coach. I am an NLP Master Trainer. I'm a speaker. I've been training people and facilitating and coaching people for about 20 years, both in kind of leadership development and also as a breakthrough coach one-to-one. And my specialism is in relationships, and that could be relationships with yourself, with your partner. It's team dynamics, it's relationships at work, it's all the ways in which we relate to things, and that's kind of my specialist subject. And I run a breakthrough academy, an NLP breakthrough academy, where we take passionate beginners and turn them into world-class coaches like Laura Hodge there and Lucinda. We can't take credit all for all of Lucinda by any stretch. So and Caroline as well, I think, and Sarah and Esther have, and Agnieszka, you've done our courses, haven't you? I think not yet. I was going.
No, I'm coming from Emma's recommendation.
Brilliant. Okay.
That's
So
it. Yeah.
so not yet then. Not yet. And so that's what I do. So I split my time between the Breakthrough Academy and developing coaches and doing my own work with relationships. And one of my favorite things is helping people achieve whatever it is that they want. So why roadmap? Well, hopefully I've given you a bit of a clue already. It helps our outcomes be more believable. So when I first did this, I literally sat in a pub with my then boyfriend, who is now my husband, and we'd only been going out a very short while. And I remember doing this roadmap, and I was like, right, okay, let's map out the next year or so. And I squiggled it on a piece of paper, and I was like, right, January, February, March, December, okay, there and there and there. And then I said, okay, so let's do 5 years. So I did the 5 years. And I started saying, right, okay, money, I want, okay, let's say 5 grand, 10 grand, 15 grand, 20, 25, 50. By the end of the year, I was like 50 grand a month. And then I went on to the next year, and I was like, right, I want a baby there. And I saw him literally, like, the color drain from his face as he was like, oh my God, I'm just seeing my future flash before my eyes. I've only started going out with this woman. Well, oh my God. He was very much baptism of fire in what he was going to get. But I had no idea at the time how I was going to earn 50 grand a month, right? I had no idea. And when I road mapped, it helped me to think, okay, and you'll see this later on, how might I do that? So we don't tend to always get obsessed with the how in manifesting. We kind of let that take care of itself. But you can think about what you would like. So I thought about, well, what would be awesome? What would be awesome if I had a team of people that were going out training for me, and, I could sit on my sofa on my laptop watching Frasier in the morning while other people were going out to work, and I was just sort of creating materials, and oh my God, that would be amazing. And so that's what I envisaged would be happening for that exchange of value, let's say. Um, and it felt like, well, yeah, that could happen. I don't know how I'm going to get that work yet. That's still up to the universe to help me decide. But how it would be possible, yes, I could see that. And it helped me think, well, yeah, actually, that's not ridiculous, right? It's a lot, but it's not ridiculous. And sure enough, within that year, I actually was doing that. And that was crazy. Like that was what convinced me, okay, this stuff's actually, road mapping is quite cool. And just to go big, but not so big that it's like, ugh, do I really want a yacht that carries 400 people? Oh, I don't know. What am I going to do with it on the off season? Don't just go for things that seem like a good idea. Go for things that genuinely fill you with joy. Okay. Even if they are feeling out of your reach, that's okay. We still don't decide on how it's going to happen. I met a friend recently in Devon, and she's as mad as me, which is wonderful and rare to find. But we're properly into all this sort of same stuff. We're very sort of farmy. She wants to invite me over to make cheese with her. She runs a farm, and it was just like, oh, cool. But how I could not have known how I was going to meet her, if that makes sense. So I could visualize having a friend here in Devon that's just like me and wants to do the same things. But I couldn't have thought, oh, I'll probably meet her here at this time. That came about completely as a byproduct of something else. So we don't have to decide exactly how something's going to come about. We leave that to the sort of the snakes and ladders board. But you can visualize what it'd be like. Okay. We are going to choose some milestones as well. So if you are setting outcomes, let's use the financial ones as an example. The moment that work came through, where I was actually receiving the phone call, for example, where they said, yeah, we'd like you to do it. We'd like you to do this big project. That moment is still, burned in my mind of like, oh my God, right? Like somebody saying, yeah, we'd like you to do it. When can you start? It's like, whoa, okay, awesome moment. That would have been a really great milestone to program in. Yeah. All right. So quick reminder for those who don't know, who doesn't know anything about manifesting, like the process. Sometimes you'll hear it ask, believe. I use ask, believe, cherish because it's ABC. But you can have ask, believe, receive, or ask, align, receive. Anybody not know anything about manifesting or the process? Hopefully, I think you've all seen it somewhere. Now, again, if you haven't done this, then please feel free to go to our website, and there is a free NLP Foundation on-demand course on our website, and if you join that for free, it's pretty much the end module, but it goes through goal setting from a manifesting perspective, and there's also a limiting belief there's a limiting belief change exercise as well. So there's a whole bunch on there about more of the manifesting process and removing limiting beliefs. So feel free to kind of access that. But the essential highlights of manifesting is, obviously you need to ask for what it is that you want. You need to set your intentions. You need to tell your subconscious mind what it needs to work towards, because it's your subconscious mind 24/7 that is actually going to pull your focus in the right direction. Your subconscious mind is responsible for the way that you kind of operate most of the time. So if there's an opportunity, it will pull you towards it or pull you away from it. You'll notice it or not notice it, depending on what's in your subconscious mind. So we do need to really make sure we ask for what we want as specifically as we need to, but then also put it into our subconscious mind in something, and use something called our reticular activating system to do a lot of the work for us in noticing and spotting those opportunities. One of the things I always say, really important this is, so write this down in capitals. If you have asked for an outcome, it is on its way. If you have asked for an outcome, it is 100% trying to get to you. It just is. If it's right for you and you really want it, and you've decided that's what you want, it's coming. Make no mistake about it. It's like a planet that you have summoned to come towards you so you can live on it, right? That planet where you have everything that you want. The only thing stopping you from living on that planet or in that reality where you have what you want, is the force at which you are pushing it away with your own limiting beliefs. And your limiting beliefs will be there because it's not possible, I can't have it, it's not safe, it's not right for me, it's too scary, it'll never happen. That all acts like a repellent that's keeping it at bay. But trust me, it is trying to get to you. Now, if you can imagine as well what happens in your life when you pull towards you a large, big outcome that you really, really want, as that planet gets closer to your own planet, what do you think might start happening from a gravitational point of view as that big planet starts moving towards you? Any ideas? Do things get better?
Disturbance.
Disturbance. Yeah. And if you're pushing that planet away at a very strong rate, there may be less disturbance, if that makes sense. So therefore, if we want to avoid disruption and disturbance, we are probably going to keep pushing things away. If that planet comes towards us, sometimes yes, sometimes it's right, it's aligned, it's so similar, or it's ready for us that we just step right onto it. But if you're really pushing that away, and and it's really trying to overcome that force, stuff will start shifting around you so you can have it. Like it will start shifting things. So suddenly, you know, you ask for your soulmate and suddenly you're being rejected by loads of different partners, right? Suddenly you ask for, you know, millions of pounds and all of a sudden you're bankrupt. So the big things that you're asking for, sometimes there's a lot of shifting that needs to take place so that you can be that person that can have that. So don't be surprised if when you've asked for something, almost like you get the opposite of what you've asked for, and that can leave you completely devastated that this process doesn't work. And yet, one of the things, having been someone who I was about 75 grand's worth in debt, and I remember sort of setting these big financial outcomes, and I'd set the outcomes when I wasn't too bad, when I was all right. And then suddenly I set these, you know, massive financial outcomes, and all of a sudden I start sort of hemorrhaging money, big bills coming out of nowhere, you know, clients not paying, you know, corporate clients not paying for months at a time. Suddenly, like, I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. But what I learnt in that experience was so valuable that it then helped me go on to create huge abundance, right? So in that moment of, oh my God, why is this happening to me? This isn't supposed to be happening. I was supposed to attract more money. I had to learn to not be afraid of not having any money. That was my learning. I had to sit in that moment of money is just a tool. I will live without it. I will live without it. Now, here's the way around it. For those of you that are terrified to set any outcomes, the way round it is to ask for what you want, big or small, doesn't matter, and know that that planet is on its way. Your job is to find and remove those limiting beliefs as soon as you can. Because had I sat there and gone, I'm really scared of not having any money. Let me remove that fear. Let me remove that limiting belief before it has to happen and teach me. Then when that goal comes, I don't need to learn that lesson practically. Like I don't have to learn that. So, you know, work on your relationship blueprint. If you're trying to find your soulmate, work on the past relationships that didn't work. Look at what didn't work then. Don't have to be a trial and error learner like me. Don't be that person. Some of you will, because that's your method. But that's how you avoid too much disruption. Is you go, right, what are the feelings coming up that would be pushing that away? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And then the planet comes and you step onto it. So it is on its way, no matter how hopeless, no matter how awful things look, whatever you're going through is part of your success story. It's just one of the chapters that will keep everybody on the edge of their seats, wondering whether it's going to work or not. Okay. And the bigger that you go, the more disruption you may have to endure or prepare for. That doesn't mean I hopefully that doesn't mean anybody it's still worth doing. It's still worth doing. But here's another thing. Here's another example. So I got pregnant when I was 40 and 46. So gave birth when I was 41 and 47. And I was getting to that point where I was like, oh, I'm never going to have the second one. You know, all the messages and everything else were telling me I'm never going to have this, because it's like, you know, month after month, like not happening. And the voices that I'm getting, oh, my fertility, oh, I try not to believe it, but it's really hard not to believe it. And I remember feeling like, oh, why do I feel so exhausted? Like we'd moved house, everything just seemed like really stressful at this time. We'd moved house, it was a big relocation. And I just said to them, I'm so sorry, but it's all getting on top of me. And I just need to stop for a month or so. I just need to go to bed and wake up in a month and feel better. I'm so tired. And he was like, well, yeah, of course. Like, you know, just do it. Just do what you need to do. So I was so exhausted. After the meeting, I went to bed for a month and woke up pregnant. So the moral of the story, So the point is, just when you think, oh my God, that's, it's all hopeless, it's all awful, it's just too much stress, I'm too stressed, it forced me to do something that I needed to do physically. I needed to rest. I needed to switch off. I needed to get to that relaxation to stop pushing away what I wanted with all the stress and relax. And as soon as I actually relaxed, and I spent time with my chickens, who, by the way, from a fertility point of view, hello, these girls are, unmatched on their fertility. So, spent time with my chickens. A month later, I was pregnant. So just when things seem awful and never going to happen, usually that's because it's forcing you to do something that it's like a guiding hand shoving you sometimes if you need it in the right direction. So if you go with it, don't try and fight it. It's not easy, but you will get there faster and it'll be more comfortable. And then cherish. So believing, remove the obstacles and you'll get there faster. Cherish, this is about receiving, the attitude of gratitude. Everybody heard of that? The attitude of gratitude. So the point is, why bother? That, has anyone got a brand new notebook? Like a brand new, fresh, like A4 notebook or whatever for writing goals in and things. And it's so lovely, isn't it, when you first get it? And in a few weeks' time, it's trash. It's literally, you've ruined it. You started off with your neat handwriting and then you just stopped bothering. And then it's all, it's not precious and lovely anymore. So you think, oh, I need a new one. If you go through life with this sort of mentality, it's like, oh, I don't like that anymore because it's not new, it's not fresh, not pretty, then why bother getting the new one? Because you're going to end up in the same situation. So learning to actually say, yeah, okay, this car isn't the car of my dreams, but I love the fact that this car gets me where I need it to go. It might be a reliable car. It might just be, it's a car. It's better than walking. But if you can try really hard to find the good in what you already have, then when you get new stuff, you'll appreciate that as well. And there'll be a point to having it. If you are, it's kind of the adage of how you do something is how you do everything. So how you value things in your life will be how you value the new things in your life or not. So if you're someone who criticizes their partner, you'll criticize the next one because it's in your nature to criticize. If you support with compassion, then you'll support with compassion somebody else probably as well. So looking at, even if that person isn't your ideal person, even if that person has a lot of flaws that need to be criticized, think about who you are and who you want to be, so that when the right person turns up, you've practiced all of that. You've practiced those skills, and become the person you actually want to be. So that's the name of the game with manifesting. Please do ask any questions. All right, I'm going to take you through the process and then we'll do the exercises. So ask any questions about the process. If you need examples or you have specific examples from your own life that you want to put in the chat that I can help you with, then do that. One of the things that's really helpful is the theme. Choose a theme for your whole year, like a big overarching theme that all of your outcomes kind of fit into. This could be like, it kind of makes it a bit more fun into like a movie. Oh, that was the year of this. This was the year of joy and not taking things seriously, or this was the year of self-love, or this was the year of adventure. And kind of think, what would this year be about if you had to make it about one thing over and above everything else? So last year, for some of you, last year might have been the year of hanging on for dear life and just getting through it. Like those of you, if you're in the first year of having a baby, for example, Survival is a perfectly good movie. Rambo is about that, and that did very well as a movie. And if your life feels like that, it'll make a great movie. So it's perfectly legitimate if just hanging on for dear life is your theme, because that in itself is an achievement. Okay, so nobody says it has to be a movie about changing the world or anything else. But for you, what would you like the next 365 days, which isn't as long as you think, what would you like that to be about? The year of what? The year that yeah. And imagine if it was the year of playfulness, the year of joy, the year of making big decisions, something like that. Whatever. Or the year I let myself receive. There's another lovely one. The year I let myself be loved. Whatever you want to call it. Any ideas for themes? Put them in the chat, because they're always really funny. If you want to share some ideas. Anybody got any off the top of your head? Sometimes you have to set your outcomes first, and then you get this sort of theme popping out at you.
I have expansion and growth, because
Brilliant.
the expansion is I've want work done to the house. I want to convert my garage for my daughter with special needs.
Lovely.
So then I think that thing would be good, because I can expand in other ways, hopefully. Not my
Yeah, that's
waistline,
it.
but
Yeah.
expand, and yeah, hopefully the house will grow in size, and then there'll be other areas of growth as well. Hopefully comes from that.
Lovely. And also remember, it's okay that we vastly overestimate what we can get done in a year, and we vastly underestimate what we can do in 5 years. So some of us overachievers tend to think, right, we have to have everything done this year. And actually, if you think of the one thing that you could do this year that would be really just lovely to focus on, actually, you know what, it's all about expansion and growth. So it's not about achievement. It's not about, I don't have to run that that marathon that people have challenged me to. Don't have to run that marathon, but it's expansion and growth. So what can I do along that theme that's expansion and growth, even if I just did a little bit of, maybe I started running or something along those lines, or I created my gym in my extension, whatever it might be. So it really helps to not overdo and try and do too many things in one year, and lay out the next few years necessarily. So we've got the year of belief and joy. What's that? The year of healing and growth. Oh, and if you already have a film that's inspired you, like Eat, Pray, Love, amazing. The year of me, health, self-love, wealth creation and well-being. Good. Wealth, magic and joy, courage and connection. Amazing. Amazing. Lovely. So good themes coming up there. Now, so the next thing is just literally a dump of all of your outcomes and goals. And don't worry too much about being kind of really specific at this point. Really just start thinking about like what you can use the wheel of life, like career, finances, health, relationships, personal growth, recreation, environment, spirituality. You can use any categories that you like that will help to consider all of the outcomes that you'd like to achieve. If you think of career and finances in one thing, that's fine, doesn't really matter. If you don't have anything that you want to change in any of those categories, great, doesn't matter. It's just there to help you think, oh yeah, where's my career in a year's time? Where are my finances in a year's time? What's my health like? And for me, it's more about vitality. I never really worry too much about my health. It's more about how I feel. What's my vitality like? Relationships. What are my relationships like by the end of the year? That could be friendships. That could be intimate relationships. Relationship with yourself. What's my development look like? Am I doing anything for my development this year? Am I having any fun? What am I doing for fun by the end of the year? And do I want to make any changes to my environment? So obviously a big relocation would be one of those, but it also could be just feng shuiing and decluttering and decorating. We decorated one room in the house with a toddler, we just kind of we massively lower our expectations of what we can get done. It's too stressful otherwise. And we decorated one room, and the difference in a day, you know, from it was white and then it was the kind of dark blue that we've got in here. And honestly, it was like such a different feeling to be in a room that just, you know, looked very markedly different and really fresh and lovely. Because we're in an old barn here, and it was just delightful. So literally 12 hours, you know, between feeling one way to feeling a different way, and a pot of paint, you know, nothing terribly expensive. So your environment can change things too. Okay. Spirituality, is there anything that you want to work on? You know, psychic skills, whatever, you know, some astral projection. What are you doing from a spiritual point of view for yourself? And here's some other frames of reference to help you. So one is, who would you like to be that you're not being in the next year? You'll get a copy of all these slides, by the way. What would you like to do that you're not doing? What would you like to have that you're not having? What would you like to feel that you're not feeling? So if you struggle to set goals, sometimes you have to work backwards. You have to kind of say, well, okay, who am I being right now that I don't want to be? What am I doing that I don't want to be doing? What have I got in my life that I really just don't want anymore? And what am I feeling that I don't want to feel? It's okay to do it that way, because for each of the don't wants, there is a corresponding shift, right? So what would you have if you didn't have that? So if you have pain, rather than think I don't want to be in pain, well, what would you be doing if you weren't in pain? What would life be like? Try really hard to think, what would it be like if I wasn't in pain? What would I be doing, feeling, being, having? And try and do it that way. So there is something positive to replace it with. Any master pracs listening will also be familiar with something called the ecstatic state elicitation, which for me is hands down one of the best things that you can ever do to identify what your next area of growth should be. So the trick is that you think of a time that you have felt totally blissed out, preferably not on drugs, but if you haven't got any other ones, then fine, we'll use what we have. But preferably a moment in your life, could have been 5 seconds, could have been 5 days, 5 months, but this moment in your life that was just amazing. Preferably the most recent one, or preferably the one that just springs to mind. And when you think, if you just go to it now and you see what you see and hear what you hear and feel the feelings of being in that ecstatic situation, that blissful state, whatever was going on in your life at the time that made it brilliant, ask yourself this question: what was present in that moment that is usually absent in your life? And it being present in that moment was what made it so amazing. Did you have a sense of peace that you don't normally have? Did you have a sense of freedom that you don't normally have? Did you feel utterly wanted or unconditionally loved in that moment? Did you feel super safe? Did you feel significant in that moment? What was it? It's the flip side. In that moment, in that ecstatic moment, what was absent that's normally present for you in your everyday life? What wasn't there that made it so blissful? Responsibility, burden, criticism, obligation, pain. What wasn't there? Now either you have one or you have two, or you might have a list of things that were present or absent that made it so amazing. But think about it, you just wrote down the most important things to focus on to help you feel better in your life every day. Okay, does that make sense to everybody, that you just wrote down the most important areas of growth for yourself? So if you so in the comments, for example, someone's written, I felt understood. That feeling of understood, that's something that is, if that's absent from your life every day, that's a need that needs to be met. That's a need to be seen. Are you a projector? Have I done human design with you? No.
I'm a manifesting projector.
A manifesting generator.
Generator, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I'd check, because if you're a projector, that would be vital.
Okay.
Manifesting generator, yeah. So just being understood, somebody understanding you, feeling that you're seen and validated, that's a huge focus point, right? So if you're around friends, if you're around, any human beings, that should be the one question in your mind that makes you want to show up into those places and put energy and time. Do they understand me? Do I understand me? Do I accept me? Right? So what was missing? So in that same event, you felt understood, but what was missing?
What was missing was anxiety, stress, and worry.
Great.
There was no tension in the room.
No tension. Lovely.
Yeah.
Okay. And are they related? Feeling understood with a lack of worry and tension? Or separate?
Yeah, they probably are related. Yeah. Yeah. To be honest.
If you feel understood, you stop worrying.
Oh, no, it's more the other way. When there's worry, I hide myself. And so I put to one side being understood. I becomes, almost protect.
Yeah.
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 So therefore, what would be the priority then to work on? Because being understood is a need. I mean, that's part of your connection, it's part of your significance, part of your certainty, clearly. So if you could focus on, where's this worry coming from? What's the pattern here? What do I worry about so much? What's the tension caused by? And investigate that to the point that you can heal that and release that. And obviously, if you know NLP, obviously it's a much easier thing than someone who doesn't.
Yeah.
But that would then open up a massive space for positive energy to come in, like for the being understood. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
That's like that arm keeping away your needs and your
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you.
This is hands down the best exercise to do if you want to know what area of growth to work on. And very often it is the removing the block, as it were, that then allows you to have whatever the positive thing was. So obviously, if you were in some nature, was it hiking on a glacier in Iceland, that was present, but obviously you felt ecstatic. What was it about hiking on a glacier in Iceland that created that ecstasy? Was it that way you feel in your body, where you're just like, oh, connected to everything and wonderment and wow, this is so amazing? And then I said, well, what was absent? So when you were feeling that, what wasn't there? Perhaps your list of to-dos and your tasks and your boss and your deadlines and
all of those. Yeah.
And if you can sum that up as, responsibility, obligation, whatever it might have been, then it's not that you need to add more hiking in the Iceland, although that'd be great too. But it's not like, oh, okay, I need to book 6 trips to Iceland so I can feel that feeling. What is the bit that is there all the time that you need to work on first? Yeah. And I know some of you here have not had a free 45-minute coaching session with me. So if you haven't, then I thoroughly recommend booking that in. Either drop me a message or put it in the chat, and I will I will contact you to arrange it, because in that 45 minutes we could really do quite a lot of work on helping you identify and make a plan of how you're going to release it. Okay, we've got loads of resources to help. So that's your ecstatic state elicitation. Another one to think about is this thing called Kaizen, which I love, because as someone who wants to do everything yesterday and achieve everything by March and then sleep for the remaining 9 months of the year, if I had that option, that would be what I would do. Is I just wouldn't stop until it's all done, and then I would just watch telly for 9 months. And as a manifestor, that as human design manifestor, that kind of works, but it doesn't work when you have children. So what I'm learning to do is appreciate the small continuous improvements that obviously lead up to a big thing. So if I'm out in the garden with my toddler, if I look in one direction too long, she's disappeared. So me wanting to do my gardening with the toddlers is not a viable option. But if I'm out in the garden with her and I could pick up I could weed a bit of things, or I could pick up that and move as part of being with her. Small continuous things all the time, move that over there and get that ready, and oh, but there's that trowel I was looking for. There's loads of things that I can do that in the past I wouldn't have appreciated it because it wasn't a big task that I achieved. But actually all those little things add up. And there was one trend on social media, which was in order to have this sort of lovely, like the next 20 years, let's say, just pick one new experience a month. So go make cheese. Or you can even make vegan cheese at home. Like it's very doable. And you could put one new experience every month, and then one major adventure or achievement every year. So just what adventure are you going to have this year? And just sort of plan that out just year by year, because in 20 years, basically you would have 240 stories of all those experiences that you had, but you'd also have 20 amazing stories of those adventures or achievements. And again, it's just thinking little things that add up to a big thing. Take pressure off yourself. All right. So you've kind of gone through a lot of, okay, there's a lot of goals. They're not really intersecting at the moment. There's just like, they're all over the place, a bit mishmashed. So then we start focusing the mind. So we go to the end of the year. And for you, that could be New Year's Eve. It could be New Year's Day. It could be Christmas. It doesn't really matter, but let's just think it's the end of the year. If you're doing this process mid-year, some of you have zero inclination until the spring to do anything. So you can do road mapping at any point. It doesn't have to be at the beginning of the year. Just the fresh start principle just means that people get motivated at the beginning of things, like the first of the month. But you could do it on your birthday. You could do it anywhere. So you want to go to the end of the year and create that final movie scene. Okay. And you want to think, well, what does my life look like? So there, where would I be New Year's Eve? I'm guessing I'll be at home with the children, and I'm reflecting on the past year. So let me go through, those categories: career, relationship. So what is my life like at the end of that year? What does it feel like to be me at the end of that year? So if I check in with my health, okay, so I'm feeling pretty good at the end of that year. Yeah. If you've been doing Pilates every day or every week or every month, you'll feel really strong by the end of that year. If you've decided to cut down on alcohol perhaps and replace with green juice, whatever your outcomes are, just notice, okay, well, how am I feeling? What's that like? How do I know that my income has changed? How do I know that my relationships have changed? And so add in a little bit of a movie scene where you're kind of walking through your life, noticing these things have changed. One of the things that happened this New Year's Eve, which was really lovely, was I posted the event, the road mapping event, a couple of other things, and my phone all the way through, I was going on this outing with the kids to this light show down the road, and all I could feel in my pocket was my phone going zzz, 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 as people were booking on. And although that was a free course, it gives me this real sense of like, yeah, so next year when I've launched all my all the courses that I want, that's kind of the feeling that I want. I want that to be like the audio track for the year ahead. It's like zzz, 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 and just, oh, cool, another one, awesome, people are loving it. It's a really lovely representation of evidence that tells me, oh yeah, it's working, it's good, it's exciting, it's making me feel like it's working. So what evidence will tell you that you've achieved all those things, even if it's as gratuitous as actually I'm going to check my bank account or whatever it is, that's fine. You know, whatever kind of movie you want to create is absolutely fine.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
On our when we're building out our roadmap, should we just create the final movie scene, or could we have another moment in time movie scene?
Great. So you're going to create as many movie scenes as you like, because
Okay.
obviously you're writing a movie here.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
You're storyboarding a movie. In the same way as if you were actually, storyboarding and writing a movie, you would map out the scenes of the movie. But we never see in the movies them going to the toilet with the newspaper. We never see them, when all those, those action movies, like Tom Cruise, Cameron Diaz, and they're all going on this adventure. I never see them stopping for food. I get worried for them because I think, when was the last time she had a sip of water? I do not remember seeing that. Where did she hydrate? When did she go to the toilet? When you left that person tied up all that time, what if they needed the toilet? I think about these sort of things, but they don't really feel like the need that they need to put those in there for some reason. And neither do you need to put all of those movie scenes in there. So you put the scenes in that are important to the story and that matter to you because they matter to the film and the story, but you don't have to put everything in there. And if you don't care how something comes about, don't worry about setting it. It doesn't matter. It only matters if it matters how it came about to you. So, yeah. There are some moments when I think back. Another way to think about this is when you think back over the last few years, what are the memories that stood out? So I've still got the pregnancy test that I took for my daughter, so that I kept that as like a memento. It's pretty sad, but I kept it. I just kept it because I thought, well, I never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen, during a pregnancy. And I was like, I'm just going to keep that because that could be the only memento I have of her. And I want to remember that moment of like because the first time it was like, getting pregnant with my son. Obviously, I didn't know if I could get pregnant at 40. Everybody seemed to think that I was, dinosaur, and that I wouldn't be able to. And that felt fairly easy, but I still remember that. I still remember the sort of like, oh my God, this is actually happening. I remember that vividly, and I remember the pregnancy test with my daughter. And so when you think about those moments, those are the ones probably that you want to capture in the, in the next year. Yeah. Or those moments of, the hiking in the, in Iceland. Even sometimes when I go out into my garden, I sometimes get busy and I forget to actually stop and appreciate that this was a dream at one point. This being up to my neck in mud with my silly chickens and, the overgrown grass, because Bernie, backfire Bernie, we call our lawnmower, he's a disaster, but he's broken, so he can't mow the lawn. He's so old. And my son, it refuses to let us to get another one because he says, he's anthropomorphized or whatever, the poor lawnmower. He's very sensitive, and he loves the lawnmower, so he doesn't want to get rid of it. So we have to fix the lawnmower. So Nick had to go on a welding course, so that Nick can fix the damn lawnmower. This is how much we value our son's opinion. We're gonna keep Backfire Bernie. I feel that that's the right thing to do. But yeah, so sometimes when we're like, oh God, when are we gonna find time to do bloody that? Just get a lawnmower, at least cut it. You forget to actually, this is your dream. This is your dream. This was the final movie scene at one point. Yeah, a few years ago. Just take it in. So create some moments like that of just appreciation of whatever. And if anybody knows a welder that's willing to come save our poor, I think Nick's a bit daunted by the level of skill that he might need to have this. But yes, I'm going to visualize Backfire Bernie back on the road. Literally backfire, you know, chitty chitty bang bang. Literally when you stop, like there's like that at the end when he starts. It's absolutely endearing. And the first time they rode it, they stopped. I've got video footage of like, oh look, they're riding, you know, Rocky and Nick riding this lawnmower, and it stops and it goes, and then smoke just encapsulated my child and my husband, and I was just like, oh. Luckily it was just a bit of smoke from the engine, but yeah, that's what we're dealing with here. So we're keeping Backfire Bernie, but I'm going to see him back to his, you know, specialness at some point fairly soon in my movie scene. Does that give you a sense, Caroline, of the kind of things that you might want to put in? Just anything that matters to you.
Yeah. Thanks, Jess. Thank you.
We're gonna do 4 today. So we're gonna embed in 3 milestones and the end one. You can obviously listen to the recordings multiple times to add in anything you want. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do a quick visualization to help you explore some of these aspects of the year. And then I'll put you into groups where you can either work on your own goals for 15 minutes or talk to somebody else about your outcomes. And if you're a verbal processor like me, then you'll need to talk about them with somebody else. All right. So make yourself comfortable. Okay, so our visualization to experience your outcome for the end of the year. If you close your eyes and get really comfortable. All right. So I want you to imagine that the past stretches off in one direction and the future in another. And notice that you have a spatial relationship with time. And that if I asked you to float into the future, you'd have a sense of where you would float to, whether it would be up or down, to the side or the other side, or in front of you or behind you. So bring to mind where you would float to if I asked you to float into the future, and where you would float to if I asked you to float into the past. And notice that whilst it might be wiggly, there is a line there that you would move along towards the past or towards the future. And I want you to imagine right now that you're floating forwards into the future, right to the end of next year. So this is the end of 2024. And you can choose whether it's New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve, wherever it is that you imagine there being a pivotal moment at the end of the year of reflection. And take a moment to orientate yourself into the movie scene at the end of the year. And take a moment and think about what you would like your life to look like at the end of the year. The lifestyle that you're living, being who you want to be, doing what you want to be doing, having what you want to have. Now, as you move through this experience, perhaps you'd like to try out a day or a week in the life of this future self? Are there any achievements you're celebrating? What do some of the areas of your life look like? Your career, family, friendship, adventure, personal growth, your relationships. What does your daily life feel like? Your finances, your emotions. Are you finding more joy in everything? Are you more balanced, more calm, more relaxed, more trusting? And how is your health, fitness, and vitality? Now you can take your time to really create the movie scene just the way that you want it. Seeing it how you want it to be. You don't need to have any idea about how you achieve it. Not yet. Just get a sense of what you would like, what you desire. And if it's the same as now, but you just want to keep hold of it, that's absolutely fine. There's no requirement to have more. You can keep what you have, or you can expand it, enhance it. It's entirely up to you what the end of your year looks like. And replay that day, that week, even the whole month. Get a sense of what your daily life is like, what's included, how it fits together. See it just the way you want it. Notice what you're saying to yourself when you have it. What do you say to yourself in your mind when you have it? How do you stand? How do you move? How do you feel? Who are you when you have this lifestyle that you want? Where have you grown in order to have it? And as you experience that, I'm going to ask you a few questions just to help you realize what's changed. What are some of the differences in behavior that you're doing now or stop doing in this future outcome? Make a mental note of what it is that you're no longer doing or have started to do that's helped you have this, be like this. See if you can notice more than one or two differences in that behavior, and notice how easy those changes were to make. It was like a letting go of something as opposed to having to motivate yourself to do something. It was an allowing, a receiving, a letting go. You relaxed into it, whatever those changes in behavior were. And as you notice those behaviors, start to notice some of the empowering beliefs that you have as this version of you that you didn't used to have. And again, notice what those beliefs are that allow you to be, do, have, and feel this way. What is true when you are this version of yourself? And focus particularly on receiving. Is it okay to receive? Is it okay that it's effortless? Is it okay that things come to you because they're right for you? That all the work that you have done in your entire life has earned these benefits and changes? That there is nothing new that you have to do to deserve it? That it's rightfully yours. The universe is returning it to you because it's rightfully yours. This is who you're meant to be. Perhaps without some of the conditioning that you had, you would already be here. So this is about letting go of those limiting beliefs that weren't yours to begin with. They weren't yours by choice. And underneath that conditioning, those limiting beliefs, are the empowering beliefs that were always there. Knowing that the delight you have on receiving something is what allows you to deserve the things you receive. That the universe delights in your joy, that that's the reward for sending you whatever it is you've asked for. And the more you cherish what you have, the more it wants to send you, because the more it delights in your joy. So notice all those empowering beliefs that allow you to feel joyful, allow you to receive and enjoy receiving. Allow you to feel worthy, allow you to feel enough, just as you are. Now take a moment to step out of that future self and imagine that you can float far enough away from that line of time where you can see your future self at the end of the year and your present day self, perhaps sitting watching a Zoom session, and get a sense of the journey. That line of time, however squiggly, that transitioned a version of you from the present day all the way along that line of time to the end of the year. You don't have to see the detail, but just get a sense of that transition, that shift, the journey that you've gone through over that year. Now float towards the future self, but instead of going into the future self, I want you to just float back along the timeline above it, all the way back to the present day. And as you come back to the present day, just pay attention to any significant milestones along the way. So ones that would make sense in that journey from present day to end of year. Just float back from that future outcome, noticing, oh look, that was a bit of a milestone there, that was a bit of a milestone there. Just notice some of those major outcomes, pivotal moments perhaps along the way. There's no requirement to see anything, just see if you can. See if anything shows up. And when you're ready, float all the way back to now. Reorientate yourself into your present day self, in your own body, looking through your own eyes, and come back to the room. Welcome back. All right. So how did you get on with the visualization? Obviously, it was just an exploration at this point. We haven't set anything, you haven't programmed anything in. It was just experiential. So for those of you that don't visualize very well, was that very difficult? Was it straightforward? Was it helpful?
I found it really helpful because it was yeah, descriptive, I suppose, rather than see this, see that, see the other. My line appeared to be a spaceman, and you know when they take off from the craft and they've got that connecting line, my line for some reason became that. So I could think about that as opposed to trying to see something. So yeah, it's good.
Brilliant. Okay. And finding your way of doing it, really important. So remember, sometimes it's okay to have somebody ask you lots of questions and to help you to feel it first, you know, or experience it, and then the pictures come later. So yeah, there's lots of different ways to do it. I know that in NLP we're very sort of big visualizers, but for those people that don't visualize, they can feel a little bit left out. So there is a way to do it. And also for those of you that don't think you visualize, just remember that even the people that do visualize, very few people actually see, like in kind of, you know, 4K. You know, I still only ever get a sense of things, flashes of things. For me, it's all about feelings. And then when I get the feelings, often the pictures kind of come up a little bit from that. And I never see anything like crystal clear how it's going to be, unless I've remembered it from somewhere else. So sometimes I borrow old memories to sort of cobble new outcomes together. You do what you got to do. All right. So we're going to do an exercise now where 15 minutes, you can do this with somebody or by yourself, completely fine. I'll put you into breakout rooms and then it's up to you what you do. Describe your movie scene for the end of 2025. What is your end of movie scene like? Remember, you can do, you know, you might need time alone to come up with this, but it's your best guess for now. What are you doing, having, feeling? And then if you can, think 3 milestones along the way. So as part of that outcome, you know, that future self, what are 3 major milestones along the way? Or small ones, but just that matter to you. And then if you know it, what's your theme or title for 2025? Okay. So the most important thing to have done in that 15 minutes is really think about the milestones and the end scene, because that's what we're going to be programming in. Just remember, if you haven't got them nailed down, doesn't matter. You can still do the process of embedding those outcomes. Just do it at the level that you've got it now. Your subconscious mind is very happy if you change your mind later to just set something else. It's not stupid. It's like it doesn't go, no, but you said you wanted that. It understands the moment that you want something else, it knows that needs to change, right? It's way more intelligent than we give it credit for. So just setting it into your subconscious mind doesn't mean to say it's going to happen regardless of your free will. You can change it. Question, yes.
Do they have to be specific, or can they be general?
Okay, big question. So some people work brilliantly with utterly specific outcomes, and they work really well with that, and they can manifest specifics, and that's fine. So if you feel inclined to be really specific, and for example, when we were moving house, I knew it was Devon, but I didn't really know what the house was going to look like. I just knew what the property was going to feel like. I knew the space that it would have. I knew that I wanted a well, but that was on my sort of possible list, you know. So I wasn't specific, you know. I was kind of, what are some of the things? What does it feel like? And then ended up with way more than I thought I could even have imagined. including a well that I didn't even realize until the paperwork came through that we had one. I didn't even realize. So I would say there's benefit in both, but the more specific you are, remember, you're asking your unconscious mind, I want that one. And if it says, well, what about this one? Are you going to turn it down if it's not the one? So if there are things you don't care about, don't set them. Like, do you see what I mean? Like, for me, I didn't really care what the house was like. I just wanted the land, you know, I just wanted the land. I wanted the location. I wanted the view. I wanted an outdoor lifestyle for my kids. You know, we could live in a tent. I wouldn't really care. But as it turned out, I just set what it needed to have. And then it gave me the maximum possible opportunity to find what I was looking for.
Okay, thank you. Because where I'm at is movement in my career and improvement in my health. So
that, I would say, be more specific than that.
right, okay, yeah.
Like, because another way to sort of benchmark this is or temperature test this, for example, is have the facetious fairy godmother play with you and imagine that you said, right, I want an improvement in my career. So I mind read what that might be. And I'm like, okay, well, your boss says you have to do 3 days a week instead of 5 with a pay cut. Now you're happy because you're not working as much. So what does improvement mean? Because for some people it's or it's 3 days with a pay increase, or is it a promotion? Is it the relationships improve, like the people that you're working with change? Does it mean a new job, a promotion, a better team, a new project? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Thank you ever so much.
Yeah. And if you don't care about any of those things, then just think, what would it feel like? Just go to that. Like, what would it feel like? What does improvement feel like?
Yeah.
And then set the feeling and let whatever steps in, is, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Right. How many people have we got?
Yes, can I ask a question?
Hmm.
Just I have I'm just kind of like thinking about the exercise, and I have a question from a different angle. I've been working for some time with my subconscious mind already, and recognizing where's my conscious, subconscious mind, and things kind of like telling me things and things like this. And so kind of like following the exercise, I would like one thing to kind of like, I know the theme, I know I can imagine, I can visualize all the kind of like the movie scene and everything, but my subconscious mind is just telling me something different. And I know, and I don't know whether because kind of like fighting what my subconscious mind is telling me over what conscious is saying, I know that I'm not going to win because my subconscious mind will steer me in the direction the subconscious mind kind of like controls me. But at the same time, I would prefer to have something else. I don't know whether to surround myself to my subconscious mind, even though it's not what I desire the most, or should I just find it and go where what I desire the most for, if it makes sense.
Okay. Remember, the overarching point is when you think about the thing that is so big or whatever, that it seems impossible, that you really want, but it's just crazy, like so impossible. All that stuff that comes up in your subconscious that says anything to you is the reason that's not already there. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, but this is not what I'm asking for. Yeah.
But it's shown itself. And even if you just said, right, I don't need to set that big outcome. What I need to look at is the stuff that came up when I thought about it, and just release that. And then the outcome would come by the very nature of you removing those obstacles. It would come because those are the obstacles in the way. So yes, when your subconscious is saying, no, I want this, no, I want this, I want this, that's the problem, is because that's the more powerful bit. But it's told you, that's fine, that's great. So sometimes doing this exercise to uncover what are those little green ropes holding you back, what are those limiting beliefs, great, pull them out of the darkness, pull them out into the light so you can have a look using these big outcomes. And then that's all the work you need to do. Don't worry about setting the outcome.
Yeah, thank you. I think you're right, Jess. No, I totally see it. Thank you very much. I can just see the kind of like what I desire. I've been always working for it. I just wish it was happening right now. but I need to do the other thing in order to get there. So it's just a question of timing, probably. Okay.
And just imagine, I've met so many people over the last 20 years where they have been given what they most wanted before they are ready. And I have never seen, we have 2 kittens, and when they like see something new that they haven't seen, that we have a wood floor, you know, that scrabbling that happens, you know, as they're trying to desperately get a grip or something, and they're trying to escape whatever it is that scared them. That is what people feel like when you give them everything that they wanted before they're ready. It is so utterly awful and terrifying, and the dissonance is the cognitive dissonance, the feeling, the guilt, the imposter syndrome. It is torture. We think it's going to be amazing, right? It's not. It is torture. So the reason that the universe doesn't just go, here, you wanted that, it's a waste. It just isn't right. Sometimes people have had something and they've gone, oh, cool, didn't even know I wanted that. That's awesome. Great. They're not frightened of it. There's no limiting beliefs there. But when there are limiting beliefs there, oh, I was given a book deal. I'd set it on my outcome list. You know, I was like, right, I want to write a book. And literally within 2 weeks, I had a contract in my inbox. And I cried, I sobbed. I was not happy. I was not excited. I was not thrilled. I was terrified. I was so miserable because I hadn't deserved it. I didn't want it. Didn't feel worthy of it. I didn't feel like I had anything to say. It was just awful. Right? Awful. And I spent all of the time that I was writing it wishing that I wasn't writing it. And when it came out, I just wanted it to just go away. It was just the worst 12 months writing that book. Absolutely awful. So now that I have something to say, now that I feel like I'm ready, yeah, I could write that book. Now I don't have the limiting beliefs I had back then. Do you see what I mean? So you think you want it, it's not pretty. So be glad that those subconscious beliefs are coming up. They're showing you, look, hey, look, I know you want it yesterday. So good, work on this, do this growth, and it will come anyway. Even if you didn't do the exercise of setting it, it will come. Yeah. Here's another trick as well. If your goals excite you, that's the reason they're not here. So another reason is when I thought about, I wanted desperately to coach Olympic athletes. I thought that was like the pinnacle of a performance coach's life, right? Is to, you know, coach Olympic athletes. And the day that I actually went to do it for the first time, I had no excitement, like not excitement. I was just like enthused, you know, really keen to meet these lovely people. But it wasn't exciting because it was what I did. Do you know what I mean? Like I was an amazing coach. Like I knew I could get results. They wanted me to get results. It was a natural step, you know. It was like, well, it's obvious. Of course I can help you. It wasn't, oh my God. You know, it wasn't exciting like that. It was awesome. Can't wait to meet these people and give them what they need. Does that make sense? Because I hadn't got that limiting belief that was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me. If you can't believe it's happening to you, right, you're probably not ready for it. So when it's kind of, well, yeah, business as usual, that shows up. So even that excitement is an indication there might be a limiting belief there. You're not quite ready. Okay. And you've got a whole life, you know, don't rush to have everything now. You've got time. You've got time. And if the journey isn't fun as well, then you're probably doing the wrong things. So even if you haven't got those outcomes, it shouldn't all be about the outcomes. It should be about every day, which is why the ecstatic state illustration is so important. Because if you can make every day a bit better and remove those painful things, those uncomfortable things from every day, then every single day gets a little bit lovelier. Yeah. Rather than, oh, I'll be happy when I get that. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to put you into groups of 3. Hopefully, if either one person in there wants to do their individual goals. If for any reason everybody wants to do their individual goals, great. But if you want a partner and you don't have one, just come back to the main room and I will drag you back in 15 minutes. All right. I'll see you then. Oh, and you can ask questions as well, obviously. Okay. Has everybody take a screenshot of the exercise? All right, lovely. So it's not very much time, but hopefully you've had some time to just kind of think about some of those questions. And how many of you feel like you've got a bit of a sense now about what the end of the year might look like, or how you'd like it to look, getting there, taking shape a little bit? Good. And you can keep building on this all the time. This is incremental. You keep going back to different aspects whenever you feel like. So how many of you've got a few milestones along the way identified? A few kind of really nice experiences. And anybody?
I'm not sure we got milestones, but we had good conversations. I think that was important.
Good conversations. Do you know what I think? If you are an external processor and you need to talk through things to be able to figure out what you think, then I thoroughly recommend, you know, finding a friend who will just let you talk at them without necessarily interrupting, and help you formulate your thoughts around this and what you want, and then maybe they can ask questions. But I do think it really helps to have somebody set outcomes with you, because also you want somebody who's going to challenge you a little bit sometimes as well, you know, with, you know, are you settling for that? Because I think sometimes people have their body language is kind of like, well, you know, the next logical step is this and the next logical step is that, but it's not what they want. It's just, you know, when you say, is that what you want? And they went, well, no, obviously not, but I can't have that. So this is what I'm going to have in the absence of having what I want. And it's just a sense of like, well, you don't need to bother setting those goals. If they're not what you want, then don't worry about those. The whole purpose of doing this is because you are trying to identify things you'd prefer. That's all. Just, you know, feeding into, you know, if the universe has a plan for you, then that will happen regardless of what you do. And I advise you always to go with it. If life seems to be pushing you in a particular direction, so, well, maybe I should explore this then. But I think the goals and outcomes that and the dreams that come to you for a reason. I do feel like if because everybody's so different. Do you know what I mean? Like some people really dream of things that I think, oh, okay, you're welcome to that. That doesn't appeal to me in the least. And other people be like, oh, mud, chickens, bleh, you know, livestock, you know, that doesn't appeal. So the fact that I'm thinking about it, or the fact, you know, making your own cheese, goodness, what is this, 1950? That's, you know, it's not everybody's dream. So you can create whatever dream, and I think that message comes to you for a reason. So cool. All right, and again, the hero's journey is a really, really good watch. So that's a webinar I did last year. I recorded it and was like, right, okay, yeah, that's it. I'm not going to repeat that this year. It was too good. I can't improve on that. I'm just going to leave that recording there. It's done. It's really good, and I thoroughly recommend it. It's a really lovely, inspiring kind of webinar for you. So website, homepage, scroll down, click the link for the videos. It's on there. It's about an hour long, which is short for me. So now we're going to do your roadmap. So this is now where you get creative, get those pens, and we're going to start drawing and getting your creative energy on.
Sorry, someone's knocked my door.
Somebody's excited about the pens. Yes. So have you seen that dog that paints, by the way? Have you seen that dog that paints pictures? Oh, it's delightful. So you get to put your creative energy and passion. I thoroughly recommend putting a couple of hours aside with your pens, with a movie, with snacks, popcorn, the lot, and just really just allow yourself that time to really pour your sort of energy into this. And how you do it is up to you. So this is my basic. So just waiting for my internet to load this. Come on. Any minute now. I'm on my Wi-Fi with my laptop. There we go, which is a bit slower. So the little hamster running the internet in Devon is tired today. So I just tend to get a piece of A4 paper and just squiggle that. That is my standard roadmap starting point. I'm never somebody who likes to you know, I prefer pencil and then go over it in pen later. You know, I always like to change my mind. I don't even like commitment when it comes to pens. You know, I like the option to change my mind. You do it how you want to do it. That's my method. And I draw the months out, and then I put the known dates on there. So if you're going on holiday, then you probably know when you're going on holiday. If I know if I'm doing courses, I'll put those on there as well. So anything that's concrete, that's fixed, birthdays. It's Nick's 50th birthday this year, which is quite ridiculous because we're both sitting there like children, like, how did we do? How did we get this old? This is ridiculous. Let alone 50. So, but that's a big, you know, big milestone. Birthdays, that going on there, and the kids' birthdays, and then of course we've got whatever milestones for the end of the year. So New Year's Eve, Christmas is always obviously a milestone for our family, and we always do some sort of National Trust, like some event, something in Christmas, usually the same one every year. That'll go on, etc., etc. So all the known stuff goes on first. And those of you that are not creative, case in point on the screen here, you can just write it. You don't have to draw it. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll do a little circle, for example, in July, and then a bit like a line, and then a bigger circle where I'll like draw a little scene of something with stick men and women. I promise it, nothing creative really, just the bare bones so I can see it. That's it. And that's step 4. So putting all your known points on, that should be super quick and easy. You might need your calendar obviously to do that. And if you are planning to do, so one of the things I've got to do is I've got to plan out all the events that I need to do. That can be really helpful to do because I do it on a spreadsheet where I have the months like a big planner. So I can see where to put courses where it feels like there's a gap, and that's a whole thing on its own. Okay. But then they'll go on to the roadmap. All right. Just waiting for the hamster. Okay. The next thing that you're going to do, well, my internet, there we go. The next thing that you'll do is start at the end of the year, if it pleases you to do so, start at the end of the year and work back. Put your movie scene at the end of the year, put your milestones in, and then fill in the blanks. Oh, another one is if you're a gardener, as am I, a very novice one, I should say. Obviously, March is when you get busy with your seed trays. So I know that if I want to do a lot of that, then probably ease off on other things in that month, because that suddenly goes from nothing to... And I also might want to put some time aside for gardening to prepare for the, you know, the big seed planting in March and then the big harvest in July. You know, that these things can matter. So make sure you've put those things, if there's seasonal things, in there. And there we go. Another example, just a computer sort of, if you don't like drawing, you can use icons on PowerPoint, right? Now, obviously, don't forget, this is busy because you're looking at it from scratch. If you created this yourself, it wouldn't look as busy because you'd done it yourself. So you'd know what all the icons meant. And, you know, there's it's purely sort of pictorial, really. But that you could just do it in icons and pictures. You don't have to do any text. Okay, it's just another idea. Another idea is using ChatGPT. So DALL-E, or however you pronounce it, can create pictures. I asked it to create a picture of a roadmap, and then you could always enhance it or add to it using that. That might be a more visually pleasing background, for example, on your computer. And let's be honest, you don't need to keep looking at this. The whole point of this is so that you're road mapping it and having it in your body, in your subconscious. But if you want it to look pretty so that you can have it around, that's fine as well. But it's not necessary. It's not a vision board. We're taking it inside of our bodies. For some reason, when I asked it to do this, it put pumpkins everywhere. I literally just said a roadmap for the year ahead, and everything was covered in pumpkins, even though surely that was like an autumnal icon. But I asked it to remove it, and that's what we're left with. Don't know what the light bulb is. Don't really care. It looks nice, but it's never going to be perfect with AI. But I couldn't have drawn that myself, so that was useful. All right, so now we're thinking about programming our outcomes in. This is where we need to create those movie scenes and have a real sense of what they are before we then do the visualization to program them in. They probably will get more concrete as we do that, but it's nice to have an idea of which ones you're going to set, because the visualization, it goes at a pace. Let's say it doesn't give you too much time to think about what those outcomes are. So the milestones: launching your own app, recording podcast. So I've recently been a guest on a podcast, and I had the best fun. I was a little bit nervous to start with, just because the industry that the host is in is not an industry that I'm very familiar with. So I was thinking, oh gosh, okay, they're not going to necessarily know about NLP. Oh, it's not like a warm audience, that necessarily all knows me. So I was kind of like, oh, okay, how's this going to land? Absolutely loved it, and was invited back. And I thought, well, actually, that's something I really want to do more of this year. So perhaps either my own one or being invited into more of them. And I would put that as kind of milestones of launching the podcast, but perhaps having some positive feedback. That would be the outcome there. All right, now looking at the time, what I'm going to do is, it won't necessarily be the full 15 minutes. It might be more like 10 minutes, because I also want to do your visualization. So I'm going to give you 10 minutes to just get a bit of your creative energy started, get those pens hitting that paper on that squiggle, and just have a little go at putting stuff down on paper. Circle the end of year outcome, what's that? And then where are those milestones that you want to set today in your subconscious? What are some of those milestones? You need 3 milestones, 1 end of year outcome. So little movie scenes, that's the point, right? Little movie scenes. So I might have a movie scene of us all out in the garden doing the gardening, even getting the toddler involved, and planting seeds, because that'd be joyful for me. That might be just one outcome. Another outcome might be that getting a new project in the company, or launching the app that we've got coming out. So launching that app and having people go, wow, they did downloading it and everyone's loving it, something like that. Big or small, doesn't matter. Everyone, and is everyone happy with same rooms? I think I might. Do you want me to just shake things up a bit, or put you back in the same? Were you effective teams? That's the question.
We were a good team, Jess, but could I do this one individually? I think it would help me just to think about this.
Shall I just leave you here then, and we'll all do it individually for just 10 minutes? Yeah.
For me, that'd be better.
And if you don't want to do it right now, just go and get a cup of tea. Okay, so obviously you can spend as much time as you want on this. Now, has anybody got any questions or any part of the process difficult that I can help you with that you're finding tricky?
Quick question.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm wondering, because as I was doing the roadmap, when I'm trying to, because if I look at the whole of my all the different aspects like career and finances and health and wellness, it was kind of like the movie end scene was almost like a little subset, like just one aspect of it. But I guess would you just recommend for each of those just like creating little movie scenes along the way? But it's like to have the end scene that kind of incorporates, you know, me at work and also the kind of in Bali.
Yes. So I think that's where the movie writing comes into play, because obviously in a movie you do get a lot of subplots, right? That all need revealing, like that all need tying up. I mean, can you imagine watching a movie where you've been invested in a subplot and they don't tell you how it ends? And they don't, you know, they don't bring it in at the end. And one of the reasons I love film, and particularly story writing, is because in a film you can't write it and you can't tell the reader, you know, how everything turned out, you know, like epilogue. Right? And, you know, turns out this happens. With a movie, you have to show it, right? Because if you do try to say it, it really is clumsy. So have you ever seen the opening of a movie where they try and establish who the characters are to each other really early on? And so woman barges into you know, man the bathroom while a man's shaving. And he goes, "Sis, stop it." Right? And now we know, they're brother and sister. Okay, good. But it's really clumsy writing, right? Because it's like, oh, okay. It's like, well, yeah, but since, you know, mum and dad moved away, things have been terrible with your child, Uncle, you know, and Uncle Billy. And it's really dull because they've just revealed it, even though in a book it would be fine. Your brain works the same way as the movie. It has to be established. Like, you have to feel it and know it. So it has to be a little bit more subtle. So needless to say, when I speak to you, let's say Christmas Eve on 2025, and I say, how's this, how are you, what's going on in your life? Even if you're in Bali, you will be one essence, you know, one person, and all those things will be in a particular state. So it might be that you need a little movie scene that's a little bit longer to kind of move through and show the observer, you, how things are different. It could be you know, winning getting the business or something, and then you getting on the plane and being in Bali, you know, being on the plane and checking your, you know, your banking app and be like, you know, getting to Bali, you know, that kind of thing. It can be long. It doesn't have to be instantaneous. It just has to be felt and seen and heard and, you know, experienced. That's all. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
And yes, if you're not brilliant at movie writing, then it's fine to have right, I am now going to check my banking details on Christmas Eve. Even though I wouldn't normally do that, I am going to do that in this movie scene because I want to be sure that my banking accounts are where they're supposed to be. And then I'm going to call this person on Christmas Eve, even though I wouldn't be. It's fine. You'll get better at it. As long as your body says, oh, cool, we've done that. Cool, we've done that. Cool. Any other questions? You know that I'm always here for questions, right? So you know that you can always WhatsApp me or email me anyway for a question. All right, so we're going to do a visualization now where we're going to program this all together. And if you know the NLP timeline technique, where literally you just imagine the movie scene, float up above your timeline, float over to where you want the outcome to be achieved. You've let the picture of that movie scene fall down into the time, and it takes place, ripples of success out into the future, turn around, see everything coming together to make it so, and then you float back to the now, feeling completely convinced it's going to happen. That's a very short process. Yeah, you can do that. I think there's there's resources somewhere. I'm going to put them all on the website, but there are resources that can do that for you. This is a slightly more enjoyable process because we're going to use the garden. We're going to use the garden metaphor to plant those outcomes, because there's a sense of, when you use the metaphor of planting something, that it's, you don't need to watch it, you can just plant it and it'll grow, and it feels a little bit more, it's a bit more textured. So we're going to do that one. So when you're ready, get comfortable and close your eyes. Okay. Alrighty. So we're going to program these 4 outcomes into your year ahead. So when you're ready, close your eyes and imagine that you're floating down a set of steps. With every step, floating down, breathing out, getting more relaxed with every breath. And at the bottom of these steps, you'll find yourself in the most beautiful garden that you've ever seen, that represents the control room of your mind, a space where you can communicate with your subconscious mind in a symbolic way, a place you can instruct and communicate with your subconscious mind. Take a moment to drink it in. Whatever this garden is like is perfect for you. It could change day by day, depending on what you need. It might be a rolling landscape. It might be a small cottage garden. Anything that makes you feel wonderful is fine. A garden you would like to be in. Imagine yourself there more and more by feeling the temperature of the air against your skin, noticing the vivid colours, the smells, the sounds of the garden. This is a beautiful place for you to come and make whatever changes you want to make. And you can only make positive changes here. Your subconscious mind knows what's in your highest good and will take care of you. Now, you can do so many things in this garden, but today you're going to program your outcomes for the year ahead into your subconscious mind. Now, in the garden, time is represented by a river flowing gently downstream into the future. You can move along the riverbank, upstream into the past, or downstream towards the future. Along the riverbank, there are many trees that hold information about events in the future or the past that you may wish to observe at any point. Some of these trees might be fixed points, but most of these trees will represent events that can change depending on the decisions and changes you intentionally make in your life. If you ever wish to observe the events from the past or future, you need only reach out and touch one of the trees, and you'll begin to observe the event as if it were being acted out in front of you in its designated time and space. You can interact safely with the people and events in the scene if you wish, or you might just choose to observe and learn something useful that you didn't appreciate before. Now, you have the power to create your future and even change your past, but today we're going to create the outcomes for the year ahead at a deep subconscious level. This will enlist the help of our infinite subconscious mind to help us achieve these outcomes in a way that complements everything else that you want, that's in alignment with your highest good, and finds a way to utilize the ever-changing variables in the universe rather than trying to override them. Today, you're going to sow seeds along the riverbank, representing your outcomes into the future. These seeds will grow into trees, representing the events you're creating. Now, those trees will grow all by themselves, strong, tall, and solid. All you have to do is consider the outcomes you want to create. So let's do that now. Bring to mind some of the outcomes that you want for the year ahead. And notice if you can do that in the order that you want them. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 being the soonest, 4 being the end of the year. If you know the dates, that's great. But if you don't mind what the date is, then just have a sense of roughly when each outcome occurs or the order in which they occur. The more you leave open, the easier it will be for your subconscious mind to work around any obstacles posed. Right now, we're going to visualize 4 major outcomes, but obviously by listening to this visualization multiple times, you can do as many as you like. So let's pick the first major outcome for the year ahead, an important change in an area of your life that you want to make. Notice what life feels like and looks like when it's here, when you're living this way, when you're being, doing, and having what you want in the areas of life that you want it. Imagine as if it were a movie scene, where you're the hero inside the scene, living your outcome, seeing it through your own eyes. See what you see when you have it, hear what you hear, feel how it feels. Notice what you're saying to yourself. Notice the evidence that proves that you have it in your life. Feeling how great it feels. Enjoying the feeling of having it. Noticing who you're being when you have it. And as your subconscious mind receives the request, notice that down on the ground in front of you, you'll see the little seed that has been called towards you. Take the seed into your hand and keep it with you while we look at the next important outcome. Notice what life feels like and looks like when you have the next important outcome. When you're living this way, when you're being, doing, and having what you want in the area that you want it. Feel how good it feels, how right for you it feels. Imagine it as if you were in a movie scene, living your outcome, seeing what you see, hearing what you hear, feeling how it feels. Noticing the evidence that proves that it's yours. Hear what you say to yourself when you have what you want and how good it feels. And as your subconscious mind receives this request, notice down on the ground in front of you, you'll see the second little seed that's been called towards you. Pop that little seed into your hand while we do the next outcome. Pick another important outcome for the year ahead, and again notice what life feels like and looks like when it's here, when you're living this way. You're being, doing, and having what you want in the area of life that you want it. Feel how good it feels. Notice how you stand, how you move, how you feel, how you think. Imagine that movie scene where you're the hero living this outcome. See what you see when you achieve it. Hear what you hear. Feel what you feel. And notice what you're saying to yourself when you're living this way. Noticing the evidence that proves it's in your life. Notice how you talk to yourself when you have what you want. And enjoy the feeling of having it. And as your subconscious mind receives this request, look down on the ground in front of you and you'll notice the third little seed has been called towards you. Pick that seed up, pop it with the other two into your hand while we do the end of the year outcome. So next we're going to pick the outcome you want for the end of the year. Notice what life feels like and looks like at the end of the year when you're living your outcomes, when you're being, doing and having what you want, given the theme of the year, fulfilling the theme of that year. Feel how good it feels. Imagine as if it were a movie scene where you're the hero experiencing this outcome. See what you see, hear what you hear, feel how it feels. Notice the evidence that proves it's yours. Notice what you're saying to yourself when you're this person living this way. And enjoy the feeling of having it. And as your subconscious mind receives the request, look down on the ground in front of you and you'll see the fourth and final seed that's been called towards you. And pick it up and pop it into your hand. So now you have 4 seeds. And interestingly, you may see a number of other seeds that represent other outcomes that your subconscious mind knows that you want for this year, or that may be related to the outcomes that you just asked for. Pick them all up, feel the incredible potential in your hand, these beautiful little seeds ready to transform into something bold, proud, beautiful, strong, magnificent. Now you can move along the riverbank towards your future and just be guided by your subconscious mind. Open your hand, and as you move forwards along the bank, the wind will scatter the 4 seeds and let them fly through the air, landing precisely where they are supposed to happen for you. Take a breath and relax as they nestle into the soft, moist earth and the seeds immediately begin to sprout. The transformation beginning. Stand back now as the earth begins to hum, and the hum gets stronger and stronger until the earth beneath your feet begins to vibrate. The little seeds bursting into life, fed by the soil and the sun, roots growing down into the ground, creating strong, solid foundations, branches stretching ever upwards towards the sun. Instinctively now you can feel the changes taking place in your thinking, in your body, as the energy filters its way through your entire neurology, your synapses, rewiring your thinking perfectly towards these outcomes. As you walk forwards now along the riverbank, notice these trees are already fully grown. Find the tree representing the end of the year outcome. Notice how beautiful that tree already is. And when you're ready, reach out and touch the trunk of the tree and watch. Time speeding up, and you'll find yourself experiencing the outcome just as you want it to be. Allow yourself to fully experience the good feelings as you move through this scene. How easy and effortless it feels, creating certainty that it's there. How inevitable it feels, right where you want it. It's better than you could ever have imagined. Let go of the tree when you're ready, and knowing it's out there, this inevitable, powerful force, magnetizing resources towards you, you can start to move back along the riverbank to the present day, past all your other beautiful outcomes. You can reach out and touch as many of them as you want to on the way back. And as you do, notice other new trees that have begun to grow along the riverbank, representing other milestones along the way to achieving your outcomes. resources that have already been called towards you, people, ideas, resources, everything's been sent for, everything is on its way. Take your time to come all the way back along the riverbank to the present day. And take a few deep breaths to really feel in your body how inevitable those outcomes are. That you have now asked for what you want, and your subconscious mind now knows where it's going, what it wants to create. And your only job now is to challenge any limiting beliefs that tell you that you can't have those outcomes or that they would be difficult. Because those voices that tell you that you can't have what you want are lying. They are not your voice. They are not your subconscious mind's voice. They are the obstacles put in your way and for you to overcome. You can absolutely have the outcomes that you have asked for. They are meant for you. If you have a desire for them, they are meant for you. And you can trust that they are on their way and trying to get to you. They are waiting for you. And you can let go of those limiting beliefs. Now, those limiting beliefs may take the form symbolically in the garden, perhaps of weeds or other obstacles that would make sense. And take a moment now to notice how those obstacles are showing up, even already. And notice how instinctively you know how to remove them in the garden. If they're weeds, you might want to pull those weeds out by hand. You might want to use a special kind of organic weed killer. Or, my suggestion is to summon to you now a guardian of the garden. A guardian of the garden whose sole objective is to do your bidding, to take care of you, to remove limiting beliefs. And watch as you give them the instruction to begin to remove all obstacles. Notice how they immediately set to work, tidying, stripping away weeds, ensuring the trees are pruned, that have sunlight, water, fertilizer, whatever they need. The guardian of your garden is on the case. So those limiting beliefs will be dealt with. Give your guardian permission to release and remove any obstacles, any limiting beliefs. Now take a step back, enjoy the garden for a moment, feeling the power that you have to create your future, enabling you to feel stronger and more certain than ever before. In your body, there's a new sense of certainty, knowing that you've called your future outcomes into existence and all the resources, people, and events are being drawn to you now. That these outcomes are for your highest good and that you are working with all the variables in the universe in total perfection. Now it's time to leave the garden now, knowing that you can come back here at any time to make adjustments, to set more outcomes. Really, the extent of your imagination is your limit here. So now, leaving the garden, finding the stone steps floating up, each one feeling more and more alert and awake with everyone, coming back to the room that you're in, reorientating yourself in the room, taking a stretch, a deep breath, coming all the way back into the room, opening your eyes, feeling really good about yourself and your life in every single way. Now, if anybody enjoyed the garden, we have there's a full audio program called Superpower School, and that's going to be on the app when that's released. So the full audio program will be on there, and there's one track where you grow a money tree in much the same way, but you're growing a money tree, which is a really lovely process that I recommend. And there's all kinds of things that you can do. If you've listened to Superpower School before, you'll know, but it's a really lovely program. So step 8 is to walk it. Now, this is my favorite part because I get to do it in nature, and you will have your little, your drawn roadmap. Once it's finished, go outside, find somewhere that's in nature where you won't be disturbed, where you can at least walk 52 paces. So you want 52 paces in front of you, preferably towards something pleasant, and not a brick wall or something, and that feels vaguely inspirational to you, that feels lovely to be there. And then you want to walk it, like walk your roadmap, and you're going to walk 1 week at a time. So you're going to walk that first week in January. Take your time to look at your roadmap and think, okay, it's January, what's the weather like? Okay, that's the week. That's how it's going to feel. If you're adding things in like yoga classes, or, you're eating a certain way, or you're trying to, to do these sort of New Year's resolutions where you're making some changes, experience how that's going and make adjustments as necessary. And then take another step. Look at your roadmap, take another step. And it's 52 steps. It's not very many. But each one, oh, look, that's when I get that, when I get that outcome. Oh, that feels so good. Now take that onto the next one. And that is a fully walked roadmap, and it can take time to really look at, okay, what's going on there? Oh, I've got the prep course that week. Cool, that's great. And that kind of thing. You may end up adding outcomes, changing the dates, but it really is a lovely, lovely exercise to do it. Feeling the transformation as you go through. All right. So remember, from the hero's journey point of view, like I said, watch the hero's journey on the website. The concept of a hero's journey is so lovely because it kind of allows you to sort of let go a little bit. But I have seen this happen so many times. If somebody's not on the right track, life has this way of getting you back on it, and events arise and things happen to get you back on track. And if you miss the call to adventure, another one will come, right? This is something I've seen so many times, that people think, oh, I've made a mistake. You haven't made a mistake. Read Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist if you want to look at, journeys and why you go a particular way in life. Nothing that I've ever done that I thought was a mistake at the time turns out was a mistake. I just haven't figured out, maybe there's 1 or 2 things that I did that I couldn't figure out what I learned from it yet. Or I do know what I learned from it, but I don't know what the bigger purpose of that was yet. Like 1 or 2. But on the whole, everything that I thought was a disaster at the time turns out the best thing that ever happened to me, and was, some part of success later. So if it's not a happy ending, then you're not at the end, right? Like if it's not happy, it's not the end. It's a part of the story. It's one of the oh shit moments in a film. And everybody loves the films where it's like, oh no, is he going to make, he's going to make it. Yes. Oh, he made it. Oh, okay. Oh no, another one. Oh no, was he going to make it? Oh, of course he made it. And I'm much more aware of this now, because when Rocky likes watching films, and he'll look at me when one of the characters in Jeopardy, and they're like, does he make it? I'm like, there's 4 movies in this series. What do you think? So, yes, he makes it. Of course he makes it. So will you. So looking at the oh shit moments, and then there's the oh no, really nothing's gonna, you thought you'd made it, and now everything's gone wrong. And yet again, with everything that they've learned along the way, that's when they bring that in. They've learned their lesson, they get they win, and then they bring that learning back with them into the next part of their life. So a hero's journey is amazing. All right, I'll just put this here. Obviously, you've all been through it, but it'll be a slide. It'll be a slide in your pack. Challenging your limiting beliefs. Like I said, join the NLP, the free NLP Foundation on-demand course on the website, on the on-demand programs, and it will take you through this process. So we won't do that today. Okay. All right, we've got loads of things coming up from on the Breakthrough Academy side of things. So we've got loads more training courses this year. I'm going to do, it's coming back on this one. I'm going to do the speaker training that people have been asking me to do for ages. I'm going to do the training. I'm going to do the some relationship courses all about attachment styles and how to, you know, have amazing relationships. We are going to launch the app. I will do a podcast, either my own or appear on other ones. And we are going to do some pracs for those who want to refresh. So we are going to do 2 practitioner trainings for those people that want to refresh. And probably loads of other things along the way. But we have thought very much with you in mind this year. There are lots of things. Oh, and the timeline therapy practitioner training, which I've been asked for as well. That is coming in 5th and 6th of July. And it's even on the website because that's how organised I've been in the last week or so. But yes, loads of really exciting things coming on for our academy. Any questions before we finish on this nice little note that I want to finish on today? Any questions at all? Obviously, I'm here all the time.
Just thank you. It's been great. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jess. It's been brilliant.
Bless you. Thank you. All right. So to finish then, what I would love for you to finish on is this notion of, if you close your eyes with me, and whether you believe in something greater than yourself, whether that's the law of attraction, whether that's the universe, whether you have any particular angels up in heaven that look over you, that look after you, whether you feel like you have spirit animals, whether you feel like you have guardian angels, whether you feel like Esther Hicks, there are sort of conscious beings that look after us, or sort of collective consciousness, whatever, or a higher self, whatever your belief system is about something greater than you. I want you to imagine that there is something out there that looks out for you, that guides you, that wants the best for you, and that has some sort of universal power that sometimes we as our little human selves don't always feel. And we're just going about our human life completely forgotten how powerful we are, how we are ethereal beings having a physical existence. And I want you to imagine that, for example, when Esther Hicks says you can ask for help, your guardian angels, whatever you call them, they can't intervene by themselves. But the minute that you ask for help, they can get involved. They can move things for you. They can do things to help you. And sometimes when we're feeling very disconnected and alone, we can forget that there are things out there wanting to help move the pieces a little bit for us. So I want you to, right now, just think, whatever your belief system is, I want you to imagine that you can ask for help. Now, whether that's because you have a problem that you need to solve, whether that's that you're feeling a particular way, or want to feel a particular way, or you want something in your life, I want you to ask for help right now. And if you think that they would know what you need help with, then just say that you need help. And if there's nothing you need help with so much, I want you to ask for a gift. And I want you to ask for a gift to give the universe, whatever it is that you believe in, an opportunity to just show you that they are looking out for you, that you're on the right path, that that everything is exactly the way it's supposed to be. A gift or a sign. And along with the gift, and it could be anything, it could be suddenly seeing a beautiful sunset that you weren't expecting to see, or a letter from somebody, or a text from somebody you haven't heard of in a really long time that makes you smile all over. Whatever you ask for, ask it that it comes with this undeniable feeling that it's the gift you asked for. That helps you just know it was from them. And there's no limit to how many times you can ask for help, and you can ask for a gift. You are powerful beyond measure. Why would they not want you to know that? That you're connected, that you're loved. And all you have to do is reach out. And if there is a particular gift that you want, ask for it. But otherwise, just allow something that you wouldn't even have thought of to come. That lights you up. And ask that 2025 just be the most wonderful year, part of your journey, full of cherished moments, of gratitude, of love, of joy, no matter what the circumstances. By the end of the year, you are so in touch with your greatness, with your hero's journey, with hope and optimism and confidence, and feeling so much love. And then when you've asked, take a nice deep breath, come back to the room and prepare yourself for a lovely Saturday afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jess.
Thanks, Jess.
Yes, thanks.
Good luck, everybody.
So much, Jeff.